Hi, I'm Kenton, and this is Kenton Knows. Today, I'm going to share with you the process I go through to review and qualify applications for each of my apartments. I'll start by letting you know that I have 31 apartments that I own and manage, with all of the apartments on one-year leases that start and end in the summer. I do not do anything longer or shorter unless it is a sublet. I use Tenant as my property management system, and I highly recommend it. It is completely free to use, and there is a link below in the description if you'd like to sign up and check it out for yourself. I currently use the free version, so everything I am discussing in this video can be done with a free Tenant Cloud account. If you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing, clicking the bell, and liking this video. I have another video where I explain when and where I list my apartments for rent, so this really starts from having a tenant apply for your apartment. I also have an application video which explains the application process to prospective applicants, so you can hear exactly what I tell anyone applying for my apartments if you'd like to watch that video as well. To start, I highly encourage you to use an online management system that already has an application ready to go. Please do not use a paper-based application or try to create your own, as it is, in my opinion, a waste of time. Tenant Cloud allows you to customize which fields are required in their application and allows you to add your own as well. The application. Here is what I think is important to have in an application, regardless of what form or program you use. Name, date of birth, email, phone, social security number, driver's license number and state, pet information, employer with income and contact info, vehicle information, additional occupants, emergency contacts, current address with landlord contact info, and an outside reference. If you want to report someone to a credit agency or hire a debt collector, the main things you'll need are their name, date of birth, social security number, and driver's license. Questions to ask. I ask and provide room for an explanation of the following. 1. Have you filed a petition for bankruptcy? 2. Have you ever been evicted from any tenancy, had an eviction notice served on you, or been a defendant in an unlawful detainer lawsuit? 3. Have you willfully and intentionally refused to pay any rent when due? 4. Have you been convicted of a felony or misdemeanor other than a traffic or parking violation or simply possession of a controlled substance? 5. Do you intend to have any pets in the apartment? 6. I also think it is important to have a space for the applicant to tell you about themselves, so this question can be whatever you want it to be. Not everyone fills it out, but I think it's nice to hear from the applicant. It gives them a space to explain their situation and feel heard, which is great when you are potentially starting a new relationship with this person. I also include the following disclaimer. Application fee is non-refundable. Please text or email if you have any questions before submitting. This is placed right before the time-stamped electronic signature and submit button. Pets and smoking. I have multi-tenant buildings, and I do not allow dogs, both for damage and due to noise from barking or hearing them walking or running on the floor from the unit below. I do allow cats with a pet fee. I charge a one-time pet fee of $150 per pet. I know I'm missing out on a large number of tenants by not allowing dogs, but I also know my floors are not soundproof, and the hassle of dealing with constant noise complaints is not worth it to me. I also specify that my buildings and apartments are smoke-free inside. Tenant screening. After reviewing the application, I run a credit and background check. Tenant Cloud's report is $35 and includes a full credit report with credit score, eviction check, social security verification, and criminal check. Each state, county, or city can have more restrictive rules and laws as to what you can and cannot use for grounds to reject an applicant. So be sure to understand what you can or can't do in your area. If you are living in the building and there are only a few units, the law may provide you with more flexibility in your ability to choose tenants. But if the property is an investment property that you don't live in, you are required to follow all of the fair housing laws for your area. I personally don't ever want to get into trouble with this, so my criteria are clear and fairly simple. Credit report and score. To me, the credit score is hugely important and says so much about the person. First, the person needs to pay their debt on time and not be overextended. Second, if a person has a good credit score, they will probably work hard to maintain it and definitely do not want to ruin it. Third, to me, a high credit score tells me the person is probably a little more financially responsible, so they will only lease an apartment they can afford and will be sure to make rent payments on time to maintain their good credit. So for these reasons, I believe a good credit score is highly correlated to a good tenant. I require a 700 or better credit score, a cosigner with a 700 or better credit score, or if the score is between 600 and 700, I will allow the tenant to prepay 1 month's rent extra and hold that month for a short time until they can demonstrate a history of on-time payments. All of my apartments are 2 or 3 bedroom units, and most of the tenants are in a roommate situation, which reduces my risk and their payments. I require all tenants who will be on the lease to apply. If one tenant has a lower score, but another tenant has a score over 700, I will accept them knowing that one tenant is effectively co-signing for the roommate. In regard to credit scores, remember, you cannot disclose credit scores to anyone except the applicant themselves. They are free to share it between each other if they want, but you are not. Evictions. The eviction check is crucial. I will not accept a person who has been evicted without an explanation that has some backup that I believe. I understand there are extenuating circumstances, but if a tenant knows they're having trouble paying, they can proactively work with the landlord to find a sublet. An eviction just doesn't happen. It's a long process, with the tenant knowing they won't be able to pay. The landlord rarely wants to go to court and get an eviction order, so it is usually a last resort. The one time I did make an exception was a younger person who apparently was on a lease with several roommates in college and got evicted due to some of his roommates skipping town. It seemed like it was just an unfortunate incident in this person's life. His credit was decent, so I approved him and I didn't have any issues. Evictions can be tricky though. Not all eviction cases actually result in a recorded eviction judgment that would show up on your eviction report. Tenants seem to be getting smarter about this, so if they move out prior to the eviction hearing, the case may be dropped and it will stay off their record. The only way to check this is to do an actual court record search for the person in your county, so you can see if they were ever party to a case that may have been dismissed. I've provided some more info on it for Cook County, Illinois in the description below, but it should be similar in your area. Social Security number verification. This is also incredibly important. You need to know the Social Security number is valid, as that's what your credit report is based on, and the person you'll go after if they don't pay. If the applicant used someone else's Social Security number, you won't get too far with anything. Of course, the criminal report is great to know, but in some cases, you can't reject an applicant based on this. So be sure you know the laws and rules in your area before making a decision based on this alone. Summary. In the end, you need to be consistent, and making exceptions can get you into trouble both with fair housing and difficult tenants. I also find that if I am upfront with my criteria, tenants will self-select, meaning only tenants that meet my criteria will apply since they don't want to pay the $50 application fee only to be rejected. Having tenants pay rent upfront is completely fine, but don't let yourself get desperate or take a lower quality tenant to achieve a higher rent. In my experience, it is better to get a slightly lower rent and higher quality tenant. I promise you'll be happier, have fewer problems, and they will take better care of the property, which will more than make up for the slight reduction in rental income. Also, assuming your area supports it, The nicer you make and maintain your apartments, both in terms of finishes and amenities, the higher quality tenants you will attract, which will make your job managing the property significantly easier and hopefully a little more profitable as well. I hope you have enjoyed watching this video and gained some insight into how to screen and evaluate prospective tenants for your apartments. If you like the video, please consider subscribing and clicking the bell. If you have questions or comments, please leave them below, along with clicking the thumbs up or down, whatever you think. But thank you for watching Kenton Knows, and I wish you the best of luck with your rental properties.